Overpowered main characters definitely make for a great watch. The only way it gets better? An awesome journey in which our unbelievably powerful hero meets some interesting characters and embarks on an epic tour of the land. Thank you for joining us today at Animeology. We know you've probably seen quite a few adventure animes and definitely a lot of overpowered MCs. That's why we have a list of series you probably haven't heard of, but definitely should watch. Number 10. Groove Adventure Rave. Also known as Rave Master, this anime series is guaranteed to be as fun as it sounds, following a teenager, Haru Glory, on his epic journey to find and connect the pieces of a sacred stone. Set in a simplistic but enjoyable fantasy realm, Rave Master really kicks off and sets up from the very first episode. Jumping straight into it, Haru needs to complete this sacred stone in order to bring peace to the world, all while battling a vicious criminal organization. From the very beginning, the primary story arc is so clear and well established. In a world corrupted by dark magic with a huge range of different abilities, different kingdoms in constant battle with one another, join Haru as he embarks on one of the most epic journeys you will ever see in anime form. Number 9. Kino no Tabi, The Beautiful World.
Drop it.
What sets this series apart from the rest is how it leverages its science fiction in order to ask its viewers some very deep and complex philosophical questions. Not exactly the thinking man's anime, but definitely not a light watch. It's certainly refreshing to watch an epic adventure that also looks to ask some heavy questions. We follow Kina and her talking motorcycle, Hermes, as they embark on some of the most epic and interesting adventures you will ever see in anime form. Story arcs and heavy plots never drag out in this, as Kino explores vastly unique and different people, only spending 3 days at each location. Honestly, the series plays out more like a high fantasy travel show than a traditional anime. Just getting to meet and see extremely unique and different groups of people with extremely different customs and rituals makes this such a fun and engaging watch. It's through this lens that this anime is able to ask us some very serious and heavy-handed questions about brutality, loneliness, and tragedy, as the only characters we ever truly trust is Kina and her motorcycle. Number 8. Magi, The Labyrinth of Magic. Magi uses the backdrop of an epic fantasy adventure to show us a very touching and intimate coming of age from this impressively overpowered MC. From a pretty decent premise, the inner journey of the core characters is what we really found engaging and unique. The stories told in Magi seem a little familiar, and that's largely due to the fact that the short tales are stories from 1001 Arabian Nights, with some of the more famous adaptations being that of Aladdin, Ali Baba, and even Sinbad, set in an alternative version of the old world with the addition of magic. Follow a young Aladdin and his friend, a magical entity that lives in his flute. From total seclusion to an epic journey as he makes exciting new friends that join Aladdin on his travels. With no heavy aim or strong overarching plot, Magi chooses to focus on individual story arcs and strong character building, and it does this fantastically. Number 7. Sora Yorimo, To Basho.
ひなたちゃんは人の心に取り入るのだよ。じゃあね。
Sometimes the most epic adventures are the ones that feel the most grounded in reality. Sure, going off into outer space or a distant fantasy realm would be exciting, but heading off deep into Antarctica feels a lot more relatable. Mari is a high schooler that lives a really fearful and scared life. She wants adventure and to experience the fun parts of being young, but is just far too afraid. The story kicks off when we meet Cherise, another girl that's been saving up to travel to Antarctica in order to find her missing mother. Forming a crew with another 2 girls, the 4 venture deep into the icy heart of darkness. Unsure what they'll find or what they'll face, a narrative with a very clear-cut objective. A brilliant setting in which our main characters have no one to rely on but each other. A journey of discovery both outside and in. You'll be on the edge of your seat as you start to fall in love with every single one of these characters as they overcome some pretty insurmountable odds in order to survive. Number 6. Katanagatari. A pretty awesome story from all round. Katanagatari translates as sword hunt, and that's exactly what it is. An epic journey on the hunt for some of the most powerful weapons on the planet. The 12 deviant blades created by a master swordsmith. Thrown headfirst into a more grounded world than most, we learn of Togama. An ambitious young man plans to collect the 12 legendary weapons in order to take control of the planet, and hiring Yashuri, an excellent swordsman that fights without a sword. So unbelievably skilled and powerful, imagine if he actually does wield a blade. What if he held one of the deviant blades? Well, there are no spoilers here, so you're just going to have to watch to find out. Join a crew of very unique and refreshing character types that set off on this distinct and clear journey. There's no filler or fluff or even wasted arcs. Every episode and issue is very clear-cut and defined. Even each of the blades is very well thought out and purposeful. A well-written action series with a truly epic journey with some interesting dash of romance thrown in. You definitely need to watch Katanagatari. Number 5. The world's finest assassin gets reincarnated in another world as an aristocrat.
ターゲット確認。暗殺貴族トゥアハードの信念に基づき排除する。
A reasonably new series, but one with insane potential that does have us excited. A really interesting backstory of one of the greatest assassins on the planet, well, used to be, a really old man that plans on retiring from his assassin days. One day, our MC's plane blew up in an assassination attempt, and he finds himself waking up in a mythical fantasy realm. A goddess has saved him and requires his unique set of skills in order to prevent the destruction of this magical world. A lot darker and pretty violent. An interesting and fun journey as our very stylish protagonist starts to learn more about this incredible world. With fun and interesting companions on the way, with the epic task of saving his new home. Number 4. Inuyasha. Inuyasha takes high fantasy to a whole new level, bringing a refreshing mix of real-life history to an exciting and compelling adventure that has us invested from the very first episode. Following a high school girl named Kagome, she gets dragged away by a centipede demon into a parallel universe far in the past. We learn that our hero Kagome is actually the reincarnation of a powerful and fearsome warrior priestess. The epic tale of a magical gem that grants the holder anything they might wish and some pretty horrific demons and beasts. Kagome must travel this horrifying fantasy realm whilst learning more about her past and her true destiny. With a few interesting additions to her party, Kagome is continuously on edge as she cannot even trust her party members. Everyone wants to get their hands on that wish-granting jewel. Number 3. Net Ghost People Power.
電脳空間とでも言いましょうか。そしてそこに住み着いているのが私たち。じゃーん。ネットゴーストです。ネットゴースト
A really fresh world, more into cyberpunk science fiction with a nice blend of comedy thrown in. Net Ghost really pulls through with some very interesting and engaging characters that complement the very well thought out world building. Follow a young boy, Yuta, and his incredible fear of computers, as his family moves to Kamimai, an extremely superior and technologically advanced city due to his mother's work. The story jumps straight in when he receives a mysterious message that transports him into the digital net world. Meeting 3 borderline supernatural beings, or web ghosts, Pit, Pot, and Pat, they explain to our young hero the truth about Networld and the reality behind what's going on inside all computers, cell phones, and digital technology. Have you ever heard of such a unique setting? Yuta's newfound knowledge and understanding make him immensely powerful, and he uses these abilities to his advantage to help and save as many people as he can. Even though the series had a decent run, we seriously need more high-concept animes like Net Ghost. Number 2. Arata Kangatari. What makes this such a unique and compelling watch is the duality of the tales. Arata gives us some awesome journey through the eyes of 2 separate MCs. More focused on a body switch, we follow the tale of 2 different characters by the name of Arata as they switch places from 2 vastly different worlds. One is the classic Japanese high school setting with classroom drama and well-written comedy. And on the other side, you have the epic world of kings, queens, and beautiful princesses, and action with sword spirits and magical wielders. A really fresh mashup of genres that you'd struggle to compare it with. Honestly, it's really hard to compare this with anything else, so just save yourself some trouble and give this series a watch. And number 1, Made in Abyss. Made in Abyss is some pretty heavy dark fantasy that does try to explain things away with science fiction. A pretty new series that is definitely worth checking out, with a second series set to come out soon. Follow a young orphan girl by the name of Riko and her life in this weird town that borders this huge hole that just opened up deep into the earth. Referred to as the Abyss, this hole contains strange artifacts and remnants that can be worth quite a bit. This has led to the area becoming a popular spot for cave raiders, people that go on extremely dangerous and scary descents into the Abyss in order to find relics. There is even a mythical curse of the Abyss that is said to drive these cave raiders mad. One of the most famous and fearless cave raiders is actually Riko's mother, and she wishes to follow in her mother's footsteps, until one day she disappeared, with a mysterious note attached to a balloon floating up addressed to Riko from her mother, stating that she was waiting at the bottom. We're not going to tell you any more, but honestly, do yourself a favour and check out Made in Abyss.